property. In the 90s, I worked in TV production, a bit of sports reporting. And in the 2000s, I've worked in sales and marketing, and mainly marketing in the tech sector. And not, as you can see, I've created some videos for clients, some of the big tech companies we work for. But to be honest, I've done a lot more kind of lead generation type marketing, a bit like, and probably how I make most of my income at the moment is through marketing automation consultancy, like Amy. So I suppose, I kind of approach it, I kind of was back, and maybe I could call myself a creative in the 90s, but since then it's very much kind of just hard-nosed business marketing, creating leads, and that's my view of video marketing, that it's part of, we all want to do more of it. It's how we consume information. It's growing exponentially, and I'll kind of show you that and give you the odd stat on that. But I think where the kind of big gap is within B2B video marketing is, and this is my personal experience, and I should say actually, guys, and the reason I'm not stood up is because I think these meetups work better if there's a lot of interaction and people just interrupt. It's not like I'm doing a big show and tell and you guys all watch. It works a lot better if you've any questions, just ask straight away. If you've got any points you want to make them straight away, and yeah, that's the way these things work best, I find. So but yeah, where was I? So my personal experience of video marketing within B2B is that everybody wants to do it, and they've started doing it, and they're experimenting, and they're doing sort of traditional, maybe high quality stuff. But where there's a gap is that they don't know how to integrate it into their sales funnel. They don't know how to do leads from it. And I suppose it's worthwhile me asking you now, who in their business at the moment uses video marketing? So if you use any video marketing or create any video marketing, put your hand up. And how do you measure its effectiveness? What's the ROI you get from it?
Usually like views, yeah.
Views. And can you connect views to leads at all? No. So that's basically that's kind of typically, it's like everybody's, this is great, we want to do it, but we live in the real world. You're going to spend your time and budget, making videos. You got to justify it. You know what I mean? It's got to produce leads. So it's that disconnect that I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to hopefully tell you how it kind of not so much technically how you put it all together, because I could be here for a week talking about the kind of technical aspects of it and all the different software tools you could use, etc. But more just strategically how you can think about how you integrate video into your lead generation process, and also how you think about integrating it into your process. And actually a big part of that is how you could repurpose the video that you've already got. So that's kind of, I'll kind of revisit that through it, and hopefully when I'm talking, it'll get you thinking about, oh yeah, we got this video, and we could use it for that, or that could be adapted for that, and hopefully that'll get you thinking about it. So how video marketing creates B2B leads, and I'm going to structure it as well. I'm going to sort of describe how it is at the moment, and then I'm also going to tell you how it should be, and how in my mind it should be. And as I said before, if you disagree or you're already doing it this way, tell me, let's have a discussion about it. And that's going to be the main bulk of how you could use and you should use your video content to drive leads. And then at the end, we'll just kind of have a chat about how it could be and where video's going and things like that. So basically, this is a feed from my LinkedIn. And I thought I'd just tell you that because it shows LinkedIn's a good sort of emblematic of B2B marketing. So you can see the second item is some video. Ironically, it's from Vimeo, which is a video platform, but it still took ages to buffer. You can see there's still stuff. I generally work in tech, so you're going to see a lot of tech references. This is a nice little video from AdLib, the creative recruitment agency in Bristol. It's nice, it's homemade, it's short, it's got a bit of feel to it. That you think is going to be a video, but it's just a photograph of an old French telephone. And yeah, there's some video that you have to click to present. Then there's people just talking to camera. There's and I suppose there's this type of video here where it looks kind of cool and interesting initially, and then you sort of realize, oh, it's just one of these corporate things of like, you know, they were at an event and this is good teamwork, everybody paddling hard, you know what I mean? A video like this, which again looks super glossy and interesting, but then you get to this stage and you're thinking, this is just an ad, do you know what I mean? This is just glossy, I'm not really interested in this. This is my take on it. Interesting enough, LinkedIn, there's a video about LinkedIn video ads, and again, ironically, it takes too long to buffer, but there is a lot of potential within LinkedIn to use video, and their ads, if you want to ask me about those later, you can do. You get images like that, which you think are going to be a video, which they're not. You sort of get used to actually looking for the video. It's curious. This is interesting. This one where it's just they've filmed themselves having a Skype call basically, and it's good. It's got the text at the bottom, so it introduces you to what it is. And I suppose the point there is it doesn't have to be particularly polished. It's almost like the less polished it is, the more authentic it feels, the more it kind of interests you, particularly if you know the people in it. That's quite nice because it's just a simple infographic, so it kind of re-energizes infographics. And then there's this thing which is just a weird ad for a ring, and again it's just kind of like, why is this on my feed? And I'm sure that's typical of, you know, lots of your guys' LinkedIn feeds, and it just shows, you know, LinkedIn brought in video about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, something like that. But you know, I think statistics now say that 80% of marketers use video. I'm going to talk about two examples of either end of the spectrum. So this one is someone I know, Debbie Kleiner, who just is filming herself on her mobile phone. And then the other example I'll give you is a video that we produced for a big global IT company, big budget, 15 grand, and talk about how they use them. But both have that similarity that they don't know how to integrate them into the lead generation process. So I'll show you Debbie's video. And I'll explain it. I'll talk about it afterwards. I'll show you it first.
So let's talk all things workplace well-being and start with mental health. And next week, on Tuesday, the 9th of October, we're exhibiting at Mad World in London. We, on Wednesday, are supporting World Mental Health Day. And on Thursday, we're going to be speaking to 85 leaders in Bristol, chief execs and board members, all about workplace well-being. And we want to try and convince them that they should be investing in this. They should be investing in their employees' experience with a focus on mental health. One of the things I'm going to be doing, spoiler alert, is encouraging them to speak.
I'm going to stop it there, or mute it there, because she goes on for kind of, 2 or 3 minutes. But when I first saw her, she started doing this about 5 months ago. It was interesting because one, she's quite good at it. I would say I'm nearly 50. She's similar age. Of my generation, I'd say maybe 10-20% of us are comfortable talking to camera. It's not something we grew up with. I'd say even less, are comfortable editing stuff, and just that whole point of putting yourself out there isn't that comfortable to my generation. To Generation Y and kids now, it's just second nature. But for us, it's not the same. But I asked her why she started doing it, and she said, "Well, look, I should give a bit of background. So she works kind of in a sort of a PR marketing role for a company that produces software for HR software, employee benefits software, basically. So it's a pretty dry thing, but a tiny bit of that software is around employee well-being, and she's kind of developed that into. She talks internationally about employee well-being and particularly mental health in the workplace. So it's a nice touchy-feely subject, and I asked her why she started doing it, and she said, "Well, look, I'm supposed to be a thought leader, and I speak on these things." And actually, it's a lot quicker for me just to film myself talking about it than it is for me to write a blog or write an article, and I can stick it out there. And like I said, she's better than most at it, and obviously quite comfortable doing it. But then I asked her, how does it sell your software? How does it produce leads? And she just went, it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't. And it's kind of like, it's a shame because you're good at it and it's engaging and people watch it, particularly if they know you. And it's part of your activity, so ideally it should. So I'm going to talk about later on how what she could do can be improved. But that's kind of again one example where it's good. She's getting people's attention. It's the top of the funnel. She's drawing people's attention, but it's not going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's not producing any leads. It's just cover noise. Do you know what I mean? And so, but I don't want to kind of be in any way dismissive of this, because I find this stuff is probably more interesting than the big glossy stuff, that videos that we've made for clients and can make lots of money out of it. This is kind of where the market's going, but it's how do you actually make money out of it? You're going to spend your time doing it. How do you make money out of it? So and the next example is so this is a kind of high production value video that we made for a company called Citrix, which do remote desktops, one of the biggest software companies in the world. I would guarantee half the people in this room use Citrix. You probably don't know you use it, but you use Citrix. So they're that dominant. And this is a case study that we shot for them.
OF is around 9,000 employees, mostly working with a huge infrastructure project in the engineering business. OF is acquiring a lot of companies all the time, in Sweden and outside Sweden. For the IT department, it's a challenge. I'm hoping that whenever we have a large infrastructure project, industry project or something like that, which requires CAD applications, they hire subcontractors or partners for that project. We at the IT department can be an enabler, like just creating machines for them. The difference between our old Citrix environments and the new one is, first of all, we got one platform to provide across globally to OF. For me, that's perfect, because then we can work on the end user experience, their images, and using 3D CAD. It's a high performance Citrix environment.
The best part about Citrix, I think, that I turn on my computer and then I have the same desktop that I have at home when I work at home. I have the same license, I have the whole setup is the same.
The Citrix environment is like an engine for our cloud journey.
The new Citrix, if the internet connection is working, then there is almost no mistakes. There's just working and I can do my job and then I'm happy.
So that's your classic corporate case study video. Do you know what I mean? You go on any big site, big company site, they'll have tons of those. And basically how Citrix used it is it just sits in their customer stories page, and it sits at the bottom of the funnel. And if people are kind of, I don't know how these things exactly are used, but I think the kind of reassurance, if say the main decision maker, the technical guy understands it and wants it, but he's got to convince the board directors who don't really get the technology but just want to know, does this work? And any companies like us using it, they can show them that video and they get it and they come up with the cash. So it's very much at the bottom of the sales funnel. And but they've spent 15 grand shooting all this really nice footage. He's really photogenic Danish people. It's a cool story. It's kind of like, what a waste. It's just sat at the end of the funnel. And it was kind of ironic, because we said to them at the time, like, guys, you really need to use this better. And we sort of designed a big toolkit of lots of different bits. And it was actually mainly because they work for such a big company, and the marketing. So they're basically the two people I was dealing with. Their KPIs were how many case studies they can produce for Europe, and that hit their KPI. The distribution and the lead generation from these case studies wasn't part of their KPIs. It was controlled from America, and it just like you could do all this stuff, but we just won't use it. Not because it wasn't of any value, because it was controlled by America. So when I'm going to talk about the kind of Citrix stuff and how they should have used it, I'm not trying to give them a hard time, because that was just a big company dynamics. And anybody who's worked for a big company will understand the sort of restrictions that exist. But hopefully, most of the people here are working for smaller startup companies, and you can be a lot more innovative, and you can kind of just get on with it yourselves. So hopefully I'll show you how they should have used it. So basically, that's how it is. There's a gap in the sales funnel. You've got this classic attract, consider, close in the sales funnel, and you've got people doing stuff which is attracting attention, like Debbie's video, but it's not actually creating any leads or pushing people down through the funnel. And then you've got the big, glossy case studies, which is at the bottom of the funnel, a bit like they've done for the last decade, you know what I mean? And they're just not being used properly in a digital marketing sense. So I'm going to talk about how it should be and how they should be used. And as I said, going back to the sales funnel, so at the attract stage, and most of you probably know this if you're experienced marketers, this theory of, you've got to entertain and entice, you've got to get their attention. But it's kind of like video is the best way to get someone's attention. Animals are tuned, to spot movement. Do you know what I mean? Like animals of prey. You stand really still, they can't see you. It's I don't need to go into the kind of science or but movement video catches eyes. So it's kind of like if you've got, and this is what I was saying to you guys about repurposing what you've got. If you've got video and it's sat at the bottom of your website, you can repurpose it and you can get attention from it. And it's just like how you repurpose it and how you use it. And basically, the good types of video for this sort of thing is stuff that's not too product focused, teasers, maybe ads, previews for webinars or ebooks. These personal videos are really good. You want to stick them on kind of YouTube, social networks, video, ad networks, LinkedIn, and you can use them in blogs and SEO as well. And videos are really good for SEO. And the main reason, one of the main reasons for that is that you can tag a video the way you can tag any content, the way you can tag photographs, the way you can put keywords in a blog. You can do exactly the same for video. But the really good thing about video is that Google, I'm not an expert in Google or an SEO at all, but basically Google are tweaking their algorithm, so dwell time is a really big important thing for how popular a page is. And guess what, you got a video on there, watch that, that's a lot of dwell time. So you just, you're increasing, and anytime you search on Google now, you'll get, about a third of the way down, you see video results. So it's got its own independent results. So if you're kind of tuned to looking for videos, you're just going to go straight to the videos. So it's, video is a really, really good SEO tool, but you've got to tag it properly. The other thing that you should always remember with video is you can put it on lots of different platforms, but if you want it to turn up in a search result, put it on YouTube, because guess what? Google owns YouTube. So always stick whatever videos you've got, whether you think it's a B2B channel or platform or not, stick them on YouTube and make sure you tag them properly, because that's the way they're going to turn up in the searches. Your goal is to attract attention and to drive traffic to your website. And part of the bit about that is you've got to have a CTA in there, you've got to have a call to action, you've got to tell people what to do next. They're not going to just do it for the sake of it. So whether you're talking to camera, tell them, go to the link above and to get more information, or also, if you're doing any video now, you should put text at the bottom, and not just sort of like subtitles what people are saying. There's kind of almost like a hybrid developing of text and subtitles, and it's basically because you can't turn on the volume a lot of the time, so you want to know what it says. So put a decent CTA in there as well. Get them to you have to instruct people on what to do next. So this is an example of what Citrix should have done, and we mocked these all up for them. What they should have done, what they should have been doing on LinkedIn and other kind of sites to get people's attention to this product.
If the internet connection is working, then there is almost no mistakes. There's just working and I can do my job and then I'm happy.
So there's a 10-second sting. Again, you've got the photogenic Danish person. It's getting people's attention. It's got a simple message about Citrix on the cloud, remote working, 3D graphics on the cloud, and it's something that I'm pretty sure if it went through most people's LinkedIn thing, you would stop and look at it and go, what's going on with her? Do you know what I mean? So it's just a way of getting attention, and it's, you know, the footage is already shot. Editing is not very difficult. The expensive bit is shooting the stuff. So within, and this is a good example, so it was quite technical, the first video, but within it there were kind of about 3 decent business issues and there were about 3 decent technical issues, which all merit talking about in isolation, if you see what I mean. So the business issues, for instance, one of them was you know, how you can scale up really quickly. You know what I mean? If you're using contractors, you don't have to buy them a laptop, you don't have to set the laptop up. Literally, you can set up a desktop and they can be using high definition graphics anywhere where there's Wi-Fi in like a matter of minutes. Do you know what I mean? And that's a huge advantage, you know, because previously, if you had a remote work, you know, site, like, you know, you're building some building or something, you'd have to build an office there, you'd have to get loads of computers there. You know, every time someone came, it'd be like, all right, we've got to get a new seat for them, a new computer, It just takes days and weeks and loads of logistics to organize it. And now, you know, and even to the point where that company, he had an example, they were using some Russian engineers on a Swedish oil rig or something, but the Russian engineers just stayed in Russia and worked on these CAD drawings and stuff from Russia on that company's remote desktops on their own machines, so they could just set up, get that access, that expertise. So you know, that's a massive business benefit that lots of those type of companies could relate to. Do you know what I mean? And it's worth its own subject matter, and that's, it kind of segues nicely onto I think the next section. So it's using videos within blogs, basically. So you know, if you've got all that footage, take out the independent issues, because say if someone is some IT director or IT manager within a technical company, like a construction company or an engineering company or an architect or something like that, they don't sit there, they don't Google, I wonder how OF in Denmark dealt with this problem. They're like, you know, can remote desktops support 3D graphics? Those are the sort of questions that they're going to be looking for. So you want to address those questions directly, and if you write a blog about 3D graphics in the cloud, how possible it is, how well it is to do, how easy it is to do, but to make it more attractive, you actually put, rather than put a photograph at the top of the blog, you put a video. So you edit like a 1-minute video which specifically applies to that question. And I'll show you here. So this is, you know, you've got a normal blog and it's referring to lots of different clients and lots of different technology, and it's got all the keywords and everything else. But you've also got a video at the top.
For me, it's providing the Citrix cloud platform for the end users. And I would say to the OF employees, consultants, subcontractors working for them, that they can have like a high graphical machine within just seconds.
Citrix have changed the way employees can work by giving them the flexibility of connecting to this high-performance desktop from anywhere. So when they're at a building site, they can connect to the internet connection and then have directly access to their desktop, work with Revit, show a 3D model of building. Where do you show who they must collaborate with on the building site, directly on the drawing, what to do and how to do it.
The new Citrix, if the internet connection is working, then there is almost no mistakes. There's just working and I can do my job and then I'm happy.
So, like I said, it's just a snippet. It's a lot more. Well, it's not a lot more technical, but it's a bit more technical. It's a bit more applied to just, you know, that question of can you run 3D graphics in the cloud and how easy it is to set up. But it's also got the advantage that you know, like I said, it's video comes up better in search results, and so your blog is going to get more hits and come up better if you include video in it. So that's one example. I should say, though, that there are, and this is an interesting point, if you're a big company and you employ like an agency to shoot the video, produce the video, and the agency may well use freelance cameramen and editors to do it. And it's something to be careful of, because you can pay one price, but the cameraman and the editors, they own the footage. And you can pay a slightly higher price, I don't know, 10% more, and you own the footage. And there is also a limitation, because you're thinking, well, this is really glossy stuff, and if I try and edit it, I'm just going to cock it up, do you know what I mean? So it's, if you're at that high end of the market, there are potential limitations. But what I would say to that is that if you're going to get an agency to produce a video, they should be having this conversation with you. They should be saying, how are you going to drive leads from this? What part of the funnel do you want to, you know, what parts of the funnel do you, they should be almost having the same conversation that I'm having now. They should be telling you how to do it. They probably aren't, but they should be. And basically part of the way that whoever produces and directs it and scripts it, etc., should have all these different uses in mind. So he or she is thinking about, okay, what's the 10-second sting going to be here? What's the GIF we're going to get out of this? If we gate some of this content, how are we going to structure the interview so we know where to put the gate in, etc. So basically, you know, lots of people can make beautiful pictures, but it doesn't matter how beautiful it is if it's not driving leads. You paid marketing budget for it. It's got to drive leads. And to be honest, the beautiful pictures don't really make any difference these days. Do you know what I mean? And also sometimes, like I said, if it's too glossy, we just pass it over. So you know, that kind of repurposing, you might think, oh, the stuff we've got. Yeah, if you want an agency to shoot a video in the first place, you do it. You could go back to them and repurpose it, or you could buy the footage from them and you know, repurpose it or get another agency to repurpose it. Depends what you want to do, but yeah, that's one of the restrictions at the high end, or one of the things to be mindful of. So basically, that's the middle of the funnel. I talked about this. You're pushing people through, so you're kind of educating and informing them. You know, the content types, rough stuff like webinars. Who does webinars here? And do you record them?
Watch them. I'm going to be involved in something.
Yeah, exactly. And things like webinars. So you should basically think, because people, you know, to sign up and watch like a 45-minute webinar, not many people are going to do that. But what you want to do is structure a webinar in nice little chapters, like 3-minute chapters. So basically you can knock those out as separate chapters, as separate subjects, which you can write blogs around and things like that. So you suddenly, from your 45-minute webinar, you've got like potentially 10 bits of collateral there, which you can knock out over the weeks. And it doesn't have to be that polished. Do you know what I mean? It's the information.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because I'm trying to think, you know, Moz's whiteboards, you know, like whiteboard Friday. So I'm trying to kind of, obviously what the people that I work with do is really complex, and they quite have to spend quite a lot of time whiteboarding things with people. And if you were coming to us and you say, well, okay, I want a single customer view, you'd be like, how does that actually, you know, how do your techs actually go about kind of doing that? How do you know? So I want to get some of our kind of quite flamboyant special tech people to kind of do these whiteboard sessions. I'm trying to think how I can kind of part gate it, or how, you know, because obviously I want to then try and create like a bit of a community, and get that regular buy-in, and as a way of kind of keeping even our current clients kind of engaged with us, even when they're perhaps no longer with the client anymore, so that they kind of sign up. I'm trying to think, well, is, you know, how kind of high end do you need to be with it? Is it something that because obviously I can't get a production team in every. You know,
I would say, you know, the gating stuff, the technology, Wistia, it's reasonably easy to set up.
Yeah.
I think the you know, there's lots of theory about at what point do you put the gate in, you know, what point do you stop the video and go, look, we need your email address, or you can't watch the rest of it. I don't think that's a big problem to work that out. I think you've just got to think about the value, really. You know, if you think, put yourself in the customer's shoes and you think, oh, this would be worth my while.
Yeah. We might charge,
Getting an
like
email.
we might charge for that sort of thing, you know, a whiteboarding session. So yeah.
What you would actually, what do you mean? You would
Well,
charge
so-
clients?
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So you know, you kind of think, well, is this some information they're going to be able to get somewhere else without giving something in return? And I suppose you know, again, you just experiment basically, see how they do it. But it's worth having a think about if you're going to whiteboard it. And there's loads of stuff out there. Whether you do it like 9 minutes is a good length for a whiteboard or something, and how you know, maybe help the guys script it a wee bit or structure it, you know, so they exactly. So just you know, to make it work. But I don't think that sort of thing would have to be that polished. And I also think that because it's a technical thing, you think about your technical audience. They're not really interested in how glossy it is. That might actually put them off. If it's just like a techie like them and they can understand what he's saying.
It's selling who we are as well. I mean, we're not glossy people. So.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, this sort of middle of the funnel information, put on your website. You can offer an email, you know, and you want to sync it with your CRM and your marketing automation system. And your goal is to convert the viewer into a known lead and kind of move them along the chain. And one other use of video, which is quite useful, is sticking video in emails, in little GIFs. Because again, all you're trying to do is just catch people's eye, you know. And if you put it in that, it's not hard to do. To I think about 60-70% of email platforms support HTML5 video, and basically support GIFs, and they're not hard to put in and they're not hard to produce, and it's just something else that's going to catch their eye. And I suppose as well, if it kind of promises more video on the back of it, if you see what I mean, again, they're kind of like, so you could have a clip of one of your guys, you know, talking, you know, the whiteboard is a little GIF, and they go, oh, that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
What's that? But that's, you know, that's a click through, you know what I mean? You know.
And it wouldn't spam. It wouldn't be more likely to go into spam folders.
No, I don't think so. I think it might. They might. It's some big corporate ones might strip the media out, and you guys. I don't work for a big corporate, so you guys might be able to tell me better. But how often do people look at work emails on their iPhones? GIFs definitely work on your emails on your iPhones and on your iPads and things like that. So no, I think there's a good chance that'll work. So like I said, we've talked about the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and again, you need a CTA, you need a call to action, you need to tell them what you want them to do next. And basically then you get to the bottom of the funnel, which we kind of talked about, which is reassuring and create anticipation, the customer testimonials, the case studies, how to get started, interviews, interviews with industry influencers, you know, the kind of how-to stuff. The technical stuff is like, okay, so if we were to buy this software, for example, how do we implement it? That type of thing. You know, you're telling them how to do that. And distribution is just basically on your website. And also, you know, email marketing, because you've already got their email address. And your goal is to convert a prospect into a customer. So it's interesting, kind of going back to Debbie, because she asked me when I was talking to her about this, she said, well, look, if you can work out how to, I can integrate these videos into a lead generation process, then tell me. So it's difficult for me unless I kind of know what exactly how their process is and how they get leads and how they'd integrate it. It's difficult for me to tell her how to do that, but I can give her some ideas. So basically, she needs, and she said this is a problem, that, you know, her client base, the company's client base is companies with between 20 and 1,000 people, and they're UK based. And but she's doing these talks, you know, in Dubai and things like that, and So what she needs to do is think, it again goes back to kind of persona marketing, thinking who are my target market, and probably her target market are HR managers in these mid-sized companies. And if she wants to attract their attention about mental health in the workplace, you know, it's a very current issue, it's very touchy-feely, it's good, but in it, and everybody wants to help and that sort of thing. But if you're an HR manager, it's about keeping the staff as productive as they possibly can be. That's what you're paid to do. And so the kind of questions, say, that an HR manager might be Googling about this are how to deal with someone who's got a mental health issue, how to have those hard conversations, how to support someone who's got a mental health issue or domestic issue, or you know, they're probably going to have a specific problem around it, and they want to know how to deal with it. So what Debbie should be doing when she's talking in these videos is addressing those questions, and then tagging the videos properly, using those questions and keywords that they may be searching for. And the other thing she should be doing, and if she hasn't got time for it, you know, get a copywriter to do it, is expanding her chats into blogs, you know what I mean, which talk about the subject in a broader fashion, which she can, you know, she can draw in a bigger network, etc. So that's another way she could do it with those videos. The other thing, just basics that she should be doing, is she should have definitely a link to more information on their website somewhere above the video, or you know, there should be a direct path from that video to where she wants these people to go. It's very likely going to be their website. There should be text at the bottom, which is it's really easy to put in. It's interesting. You know, if you shoot something on your phone, if you've got an Apple phone, it's got iMovie on it, and iMovie's really nice to use. It's a really nice, intuitive app. It's, you know, it's, I don't want to say it's easy, but it is easy, because and like personal experience, occasionally I try to use the Adobe Premiere Pro, because that's kind of what the professionals use, and it integrates with all the kind of marketing that graphic designers use and things like that. It's so hard to use. It just does my head in, and I kind of reverted to iMovie to make that showreel at the beginning, and it was just like, God, this is so nice. This is just, it's so easy. And there's lots of other free software. iMovie's great because it's free, and I'm sure Android have got a similar version on their phones, which is free. There's other things like Adobe Spark. There's loads and loads of free software coming out that can do this sort of thing. So you don't need to spend tons of money. But like I said, that's basically, you kind of think about the kind of persona marketing 101 of like, what are my target audience? What questions are they gonna? What are they interested in? What questions are they going to be asking? How am I going to get their attention? And try and link what you're saying back to that. And you can link it better. So you say something specific, but then you widen out the topic with a blog and attach the video to a blog, etc. So that's one way she could definitely do it. It's interesting, the kind of future developments. This is quite interesting, and I'm sure you've all seen this already yourselves, but I'll show you this video. I'll watch it first. I'll let you watch it first, and then I'll explain it to you. So again, it's a bit technical, a bit IT, but I'll show you.
Hi, my name is Hussam Sassin, and I'm representing HANA Enterprise Cloud in Saudi Arabia. Today's company's challenges is to move towards digital transformation. That's why in HANA Enterprise Cloud, we're actually helping the customers by seeing the real value of the HANA systems in a very fast and cost-efficient way. We're actually providing the full entire stack from the data center all the way to the runtime of the applications under one SLA. So now it's customer choice to choose between working with many vendors, multiple SIs, multiple hardware, or working with SAP HANA Enterprise Cloud, one SLA, a high availability of 99.5%, private and local with data center here in Saudi Arabia. We do believe that no one better than the company that developed the applications is to run the applications. That's why in SAP HEC, SAP runs SAP. Thank you.
So, if you see that initially, you think some bloke, that's okay. Yeah. You think some bloke has just recorded that on their iPhone, and clearly that's what they want you to think. But guess what? That's scripted, produced, shot professionally, lit professionally. Someone's come up with this whole concept of the younger things and writing stuff on them and info and that. He rehearsed that over and over again. I'd imagine that cost him about 10 grand.
He's from SAP, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know what budget
Yeah.
SAP have got.
Yeah.
So, and it's in Saudi Arabia as well. But it was just kind of interesting because it's they're trying to make things look social now, and it's
It's
not at all.
authenticity, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting, that authenticity, and that's a really good point. If you want to make video, social's a really good place to start, because the rougher it is around the edges, the more authentic it is, the more it catches people's attention and resonates with them, and the more kind of freedom you have to make mistakes. And that kind of goes on to the final bit of like what could be and where video marketing within B2B is going to go. And I'll show you this video. Might give you an indication.
Boo. Oh my gosh, I said boo. Ow! Well, what the heck? I'm a ghost. You're supposed to be scared of me. Okay, well, I have a boyfriend, I don't want to be your boo. I said I have a boyfriend! I just want to slap you.
So that's my 9-year-old son. And if you've got any kids, they use Musical.ly and TikTok all the time. So you kind of think, that 10,000 hours of mastery, our generation, I, worked in TV in my 20s, and I was always interested in it, and so I can edit a bit, and I'm reasonably comfortable talking to camera and everything else. But like I said, I'm probably like 1 in 10 of our generation are comfortable with that. I'd say 90% of kids are comfortable because they do it all the time. So it's kind of that idea of where it's going to go, and B2B follows B2C, which is normal. So and I think the kind of interesting point, particularly from a marketer's point of view, is like, how do you protect the brand? Do I want all these employees and salespeople banging on, just putting out videos on LinkedIn, etc.? But it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So it's sort of like I have no idea if I was going. I'm too old to know, you know what I mean? Or no one knows. But I suppose there is that element of it's just, video's just going to come ubiquitous. You're not even going to know it's there. You notice it's there because it's just everywhere. And things like photographs and blogs and text are just kind of just, going to get less and less use, and video's going to get more and more use. So, like I said, integrating it into your lead generation. And I'm not saying all you should do is video. You want to integrate it into your other downloadable pieces and product sheets or whatever else you do, but it's going to get a bigger and bigger of a market share. So you kind of want to get on with it, you know what I mean, and start using it and start experimenting with it. So yeah, that's it. I suppose the plug at the end. If you guys, anybody out there wants any support, producing videos or repurposing videos or helping with the distribution of videos, or helping with your marketing strategy and how to integrate the videos, then obviously give me a call. And other than that, there was only like 1 or 2 questions. A bit worried that I bored you. It wasn't much of a conversation. Anybody got anything to add? Or?